The garage door lifts, the opener whirring like a confession tape, and I am holding a grocery bag bursting with cilantro when Sandra Withers sprints down my driveway barefoot, mascara in tactical streaks, shrieking into 911. "He is stealing my brand new Sapphire Blue Vortex," she screams into the phone, her voice sharp enough to shatter windows. I look at my so-called Sapphire Blue Vortex, which is my 12-year-old dented Subaru Outback with a faded World's Okayest Gardener sticker peeling at the edges, half of the bumper zip tied on like a medical experiment gone wrong. Neighbors peek through blinds up and down the street. A drone buzzes overhead like an angry wasp. Somewhere a sprinkler hisses like it cannot believe this is actually happening either. My name is Colin Drutt. I moved to Sycamore Glenn 6 months ago for the quiet life. You know the kind. Cul-de-sacs where kids draw hopscotch grids in chalk, dog walkers who actually pick up after their pets, and the kind of HOA that sends you a certified letter if your trash can lid tilts at what they consider a jaunty angle. I keep to myself with early morning runs before the sun gets ambitious, late-night books that help me fall asleep, and an herb garden labeled like a natural history museum exhibit. Basil, thyme, rosemary, each with its own little wooden stake, so I do not repeat last spring's unfortunate pesto disaster that tasted like lawn clippings and regret. Across the street sits Sandra Withers, HOA board president and full-time siren of suburban order. Sandra is the kind of person who prints formal minutes for a casual conversation about weather. She wears a silver whistle on a lanyard around her neck at all times, even to check her mailbox. Her Facebook bio proudly proclaims community visionary in bold letters, and the professional headshot looks like she is about to personally cite a mailbox for the crime of insolence. She drives a white SUV with a custom license plate that reads HOA Queen. I wish I was making that up. It starts small, the way these things always do. A note tucked under my doormat one Tuesday morning that reads in neat block letters, "Your rosemary bush appears aggressive and may be encroaching on community aesthetics." I laugh it off. Then a formal violation notice arrives in my mailbox 3 days later, printed on official HOA letterhead. Garage may not be opened between 7:12 and 7:18 a.m., as it disturbs nesting birds and neighbors attempting morning meditation. A photo is attached showing me carrying a simple garden rake to my shed, time-stamped at 7:14 a.m., with a caption "Suspicious tool observed in transit." Next comes the drone. A white quadcopter with HOA compliance stickers plastered on every surface, hovering outside my kitchen window at breakfast time to supposedly document code adherence. Sandra claims in a neighborhood email that it is collecting air quality data for the Community Wellness Initiative. In reality, it is peeping at my recycling habits and photographing my trash cans on collection day. She sends a board-wide email with the subject line "Vehicle Hoarding Concerns," alleging I am stockpiling automobiles for some nefarious purpose. I own exactly one car and a rusted bicycle with a squeaky chain that terrifies the local squirrel population. By week 3, Sandra trespasses onto my property at dawn to measure my grass blade heights with an actual wooden ruler, muttering about unpermitted vertical growth exceeding 0.75 inches. She accidentally on purpose sprays industrial-strength weed killer near my carefully maintained herb beds, killing my prize-winning oregano. She posts a Nextdoor warning with flashing emoji that screams blue Car Bandit casing garages in our community. Stay vigilant. The attached photo is, yet again, me, perfectly framed by my own garage door, holding a bunch of cilantro like it is illegal contraband. Then comes the new car announcement that changes everything. Sandra declares at the monthly HOA meeting that she has purchased a Sapphire Blue Vortex LX, something with gull-wing doors that open upward like a spaceship, leather seats that massage your back, and a payment plan that probably makes worried noises at night. She shows everyone photos on her phone, beaming with pride. The very next morning, at exactly 7:15 a.m., she calls 911 on me mid-garage door opening sequence, reporting active theft in progress at her own address but describing my driveway. 2 police cruisers glide onto our street in perfect formation like synchronized swimmers. Sandra is already performing for them before they even exit their vehicles, pointing frantically at my driveway, gasping for air like she has run a marathon, fanning herself dramatically with a rolled-up copy of the community CC and RS. Her surveillance drone dips lower for what I assume is a close-up shot. "Officer," she says with theatrical urgency that would make a soap opera actor jealous, "that man is stealing my vortex right out of his garage." Officer Sue, a patient-looking woman with kind eyes, looks at my dented Subaru, looks at Sandra with her wild gesturing, then looks back at the VIN number I offer up like a communion wafer proving my innocence. "Ma'am," Officer Sue says in the calmest voice I have ever heard, "this vehicle is a 2013 Subaru Outback, not a Vortex. The registration matches the owner standing right here." Sandra doubles down with the confidence of someone who has never been wrong in her entire life. "He repainted it overnight," she insists, her voice rising. "He is obviously a professional car thief." Officer Sue blinks slowly. "Ma'am, you are saying he repainted an entirely different make and model of vehicle since last night?" "Criminals are efficient these days," Sandra hisses through clenched teeth, her face turning an impressive shade of red. "And that is when everything unravels like a cheap sweater." Officer Sue asks in a measured tone why the HOA drone is currently recording everyone's private property without proper consent or notification. Sandra announces proudly that it is evidence gathering for community safety. Officer Sue asks if she possesses a Part 107 remote pilot certificate from the FAA. Sandra replies with absolute seriousness that she has a very detailed Pinterest board about airspace law and neighbor surveillance techniques. The drone, as if sensing the impending doom, emits a series of panicked beeps, collides directly with Sandra's decorative mailbox, and swan dives into my rosemary bush with a pathetic electronic whimper. The rosemary, tough as nails, wins decisively. I hand the officers a thick manila folder I never wanted to assemble but felt compelled to create for my own protection. Inside are meticulously dated violation notices, time-stamped trespass videos showing Sandra measuring my grass at dawn wearing a headlamp like a coal miner, and the half-empty pesticide bottle I found abandoned on my property line, still sticky with residue. The officers exchange meaningful glances and call in a community liaison. Minutes later, a code enforcement representative appears with a clipboard bristling with official forms. Meanwhile, a tow truck rumbles up the cul-de-sac with its yellow lights flashing. It is here for Sandra's actual Vortex, which, in a delicious plot twist, is parked 2 blocks away in a red loading zone where it has been sitting overnight, freshly tagged with a bright orange citation. Sandra tries desperately to wave her laminated HOA bylaws at the tow truck driver like they are a magical spellbook that grants immunity. The driver, a man who has clearly seen everything, shrugs with professional indifference, hooks up the Sapphire Blue Dream Machine, and drives away. The entire neighborhood's Ring cameras catch Sandra chasing her repossessed Vortex down Maple Loop in a floral bathrobe and fuzzy slippers, her whistle bouncing against her chest. The community liaison spends the next 2 hours interviewing neighbors door to door. People produce screenshots of Sandra's increasingly unhinged blue Car Bandit posts and the drone footage she proudly shared in the private HOA Facebook group. Someone mentions the weed killer incident. Someone else mentions with barely concealed glee that Sandra keeps a detailed spreadsheet of everyone's garage door open and closed durations, tracked down to the exact second with color-coded threat levels. A week later, Sycamore Glenn holds an emergency HOA meeting in the community clubhouse, all beige carpet and fluorescent lighting that makes everyone look vaguely ill. Sandra arrives wearing a blazer so sharply pressed it could slice bread, flanked by her 2 remaining board member allies who look like they have just realized they are standing on the deck of a rapidly sinking cul-de-sac-shaped ship. The community liaison and Officer Sue present their findings to the packed room. Illicit drone surveillance without permits. Targeted harassment. Criminal trespass on multiple occasions. Filing a false police report. Pesticide application without property owner consent. A projector screen flickers to life, displaying the evidence exhibits in high-definition glory. Exhibit A shows Sandra kneeling on my front lawn at sunrise with her wooden ruler pressed into the grass like she is performing a sacred measurement ritual. Exhibit B displays the now infamous Bandit photo featuring me holding cilantro with my garage door in the background. Exhibit C captures the drone's final chaotic flight path directly into the rosemary bush, the screen frozen on a leafy green apocalypse. Audible gasps ripple through the assembled crowd. Murmurs spread like wildfire. Mrs. Keating from Lot 14 whispers loudly enough for everyone to hear, "You know, he really is an okay gardener." The board votes in an excruciating public display to immediately remove Sandra as president. Her few remaining allies evaporate like morning mist in sunshine. A civil citation is formally served for criminal trespass and illegal misuse of pesticides on private property. The City Code Enforcement Office levies a fine of $5,000 for the unauthorized drone surveillance operation and repeated nuisance reporting that wasted police resources. She is handed a restraining order requiring her to maintain a distance of 50 yards from my property, my vehicle, and, specifically named in the legal document, my rosemary bush. Sandra's face goes from angry red to shocked white to a shade of purple that does not exist anywhere in nature. Her mouth opens and closes repeatedly like a fish drowning in air as she clutches the citation packet with trembling hands. "That is it," she whispers in disbelief, then louder as reality crashes down, her voice cracking with genuine shock. $5,000? A restraining order? For protecting this neighborhood from criminals? The board president's gavel comes down with a final decisive crack. Meeting adjourned. Sandra stands there completely frozen in place as every single resident files past her in heavy, judgmental silence.